That's right. Welcome, guys. Welcome to my show. It's your girl, Amara La Negra, and you're listening to Exactly Amara, a production of iHeart. And you already know, as usual, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful for all the love and support, all the comments and share, and all the good vibes that you guys give me every week. Yo no sé ni pa' qué acordárselo, porque I already know that you guys know. Obviously, give me my 5 stars, porque me lo merezco. I come here every week giving you the best of me. So give me my 5 stars, subscribe to the podcast, and of course, go check me out at my YouTube channel. Or just go to the search bar and write Exactly Amara or Amara La Negra so you can see everything that's happening every week. Pero today, I wanted to talk about something a little bit deeper. Not for nothing, but with the way of life and everything that's happening, I really feel that the more we talk about it, the more we get to learn, progress, and the more we bring awareness to the importance of mental health. That's why today's episode, I want to talk about, life itself. I always say that there's no guidebook on how to live your life. You learn as you live. Life experiences build your character. And there's been a lot of people that I've had the opportunity of meeting that throughout the years, they've gone through like the worst experiences ever, but they always figure out a way to come out positive, to make the best out of it. Even though you see them happy, it doesn't mean that they weren't in a dark space, in a dark place at one time in life. That's why today I want to bring in my girl, Arlene, como siempre, producer, friend, mi pana, mi amiga. You already know. Arlene, ¿cómo tú estás, mami?
Muy bien. And I'm so excited to talk about this topic because, man, oh man, it's been a crazy few years, Amara. And also mental health. We hardly talk about that in our community. I mean, even talking about it with my mom just last week, she's still telling me to pray off my sadness, which is not always the best advice.
Have you ever been in like a dark space that you feel like, not for nothing, I think that I have issues?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, back in 2014, from 2014 to 2016, I was in an abusive relationship, and getting out of that and the aftermath of that. And even now, to be honest, still dealing with some of the things that at times trigger me or bring back a memory. That was probably the darkest time in my life, for sure.
Pa' que lo sepa. Now, mira, saying, talking about mental health doesn't mean como que tú estás loca, ni que tú estás loco, ni nada por el estilo. It's just the truth. You can't pretend to be strong forever. And if you need help, then you just need to say it, because nobody knows what you're going through unless you open your mouth and you voice like, yo, I need help. I'm going through some struggles. Sometimes not even your family knows how to deal with it. And you might have to look for help outside, somewhere else. Have you been through, domestic abuse, even from your family? Sometimes your mother, your father can be abusive, even with your words. By the way, abuse is not always physical. It could be verbal. That verbal abuse really, to me, sometimes I think it's almost worse because it really stays in your brain. And to reset that part of your brain is the hardest. But it's even the hardest when you're trying to get out of that, dark place and trying to make the best out of it. And someone that knows how to do this so gracefully and really has brought so many smiles to so many people that have gone, through their tough moments, but she knew how to flip the script. Arlene, tell us a little bit about our guest today.
We have an incredible guest. We are so honored. She's made some time for us. She is a stand-up comedian. She is a writer, actor, originally from California, LA, born and raised. She was highlighted as one of LA's 13 women who are making LA a better place. And she has achieved viral fame. She was on The Price is Right. She is a disabled stand-up comedian, but she was on The Price is Right and she won a treadmill, and that took off online. And it is the incredible, incomparable Danielle Perez. Welcome to the show, Danielle.
Hi, y'all. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming. I'm super excited to talk to you. Let's get right to it. Because when, you don't hear that a lot, a disabled comedian, when you hear that, right? How does that make you feel? Does it bother you to have that title instead of just comedian? Or do you embrace the fact that, you know what? I'm unique. I'm different. I am a disabled comedian. And how about that?
I mean, I'm a comedian first and foremost, but, I'm disabled, like I'm Afro-Latina, I'm fat. I'm queer, it's like I'm a woman. It's all part of like my intersectionality. It's like who I am. I can't take that away from me. So it just informs who I am and how I live through the world. Yeah.
What has been your biggest inspiration? Because I'm just curious. Like, it's funny. It's funny to me how you've been able to flip the script. Because I know so many people that in a situation like that, the least thing that they would be trying to do is they get, oh, I'm going to start laughing. I'm a comedian. They get depressed. They get into this dark space. How did you flip the script into like accepting your reality and still moving forward?
This has been a long journey. And it's still a journey, straight up. Like I lost my legs when I was 20. I was hit by a streetcar in San Francisco. And for a long time, I just wanted to, quote unquote, be normal. You know what I mean? I just wanted to kind of like bury my head in the sand, just like keep going, just in a way that like wasn't healthy. It was like I was 20. I wanted to go out and party with my friends. And, I'm trying to use prosthetics that aren't working, that hurt. And, I'm popping Vicodin and drinking, and it's just, that's not a good combination,
Right.
But, I was truly lost, and comedy straight up saved my life on the real. Like my best friend, Madison Shepard, she was doing acting, like black box theater acting with like Shakespeare shit. Like, okay, girl, in LA, interesting. But her roommate was a stand-up. And so we started going to his shows. And by the third one, I was like, this dude is not funny. I'm funny. Girl, how do we do stand-up? Like,
right.
You and I are funny. So I went to my first open mic and I just started talking about my life, and people laughed. And I was like, I've never done heroin, but I need whatever this is, like forever.
What was that first night? What was that first night like? That first open mic situation for you?
That first open mic, truly, I didn't even think I was going to do stand up. Like, I thought Madison and I were just going to watch. She's like, we're so brave. I'm like, we're brave because we're going to watch people in microphones? No, she's like, bitch, we're brave because we're going to talk to them. I was like, what? Like, I had nothing prepared. But she's like, don't worry, I'll sign up before you. So she was number 7 and I was number 8. This little shitty coffee shop in Hollywood that doesn't even exist anymore, Rock Paper. And people were laughing and listening to me, and it felt good. And the host of the open mic was like, that was really your first time? And I was like, yeah. And we looked up another open mic right after. We're like, oh my God, we're stand-ups. And we went to one in downtown, and I bombed so bad.
They say you have to bomb, right? That at least once.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. And no good comic hasn't bombed, but I bombed, but I was like, I want to do it again. Like I want to fix that.
You want to perfect it. Like, yeah.
I want to make it work. Like I know it can work.
What did your family say when they saw you do this change of like, wait, you're a stand-up now? How did this happen?
My mom was actually pretty supportive. My mom was just like, wow, she's like actually doing something. But that tells you how low I had really set the bar for my Latino parents to be supportive of my stand-up comedy career at 30. But my dad was a little more like, I don't really know what this is. Like my dad, he's a doctor. And so he was just like, comedy. Like, but I think now that he gets it, now that he sees that I'm really able to pursue all kinds of things through stand-up. I've been able to act and be on TV and write, and
it's a healing. It's a healing tool, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, definitely comedy is healing, laughter is the best medicine, all of that. But I think, it's important, like as a performer to, talk about things that you've processed, right? That you like, it's not a replacement for therapy. Go to a professional if you need therapy, straight up. Right. Like if you need that, go to therapy. But, your job as a comedian is to entertain, is to make people laugh first and foremost, right? So that's what I want to do. And so there are things that I still kind of struggle to talk about. There's things that I have processed that I can talk about. But it's definitely a really cool art form to express all those things, right?
Right. Today we're talking about mental health, and I love the way that you've been able to combine comedy, to a certain extent with that. But do you feel that maybe comedy was your escape, mentally out of, between all the things that you were going through in your life? And I want to speak to those that are listening, right? To those that are listening right now, they're like, you know what? I'm dealing with so much in my plate right now that the last thing that I'm thinking about is laughing. How has laughter and comedy really been healing to you in that aspect?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, my love language is laughter, roasting.
Oh
Me and my
God.
friends,
You be
we cut
roasted?
each other up. Oh, I love roasting.
Oh
Girl, I used to
God.
do roast battle at the Comedy Store. I learned how to roast from my nana, okay? There's no one I'm scared to roast battle except for Nana.
Speaking of roasting, I feel like that is definitely something that's in our community. We like to talk shit in our family.
Yeah.
Some families, I would imagine that's not a healthy thing, but but I love that your family is, because when my family roasts, it kind of hurts.
Yeah, it kind of hurt. It's a hurt where it's like, ooh, they're right. But it's still like, it's that fun that we can all have, and we can all like, it's truly wild. Like I had an uncle, he passed away, but he had muscular dystrophy, and, everyone's all around talking to their mom, being like, she gave him the mad cow disease. Like, it just...
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? It's just like, we can say that. We're family. Someone else comes out,
of course,
saying that, but no. I like, for me and my friends, like we definitely, we love to roast each other. We love to, just like poke at each other. But
by the way, that's not, honestly, and Arlene said, that's not for everyone.
For sure.
I'm going to want to fight. ¿Tú me entiendes? Like, there's certain things you can say that I'm like, ha ha, but then I'm like, bitch, what the fuck was that? Like, it's not that funny. Let's get into it. So it's funny how you guys can deal with it, but I will say that, and I'm going to go back into our mental health. Sometimes people don't know how some of these jokes in the wrong time, right, can actually be very damaging. I remember personally, I was very obese growing up, and I was like about 13, 14 and with 230 pounds. And my mom would make, jokes of me being como, mira la puerquita, la vaca, or like, whatever. Little joke. It was funny to her at the moment. I wasn't mature or prepared enough to be like, oh, this is your roasting. It's not funny. And she didn't know how she was damaging me mentally and messing up, my self-esteem and I felt very insecure for a long time, because if the person that I love the most, the person that I care for the most, that I look up to, that's supposed to be my protector, thinks this way of me or makes certain jokes, that's supposed to be funny, but it's really not. She was messing with my mental health. So I will say this much though, for the people that are listening, sometimes I know it could be funny, pero hay que tener cuidadito a veces how far you take them jokes, because not everybody is ready for it, and it can be damaging, and it does mess with your mind.
Definitely. Yeah, no. I mean, you really gotta, you gotta know where the line is, like with like your people, and, thankfully, for the most part, I know my sister's a little more sensitive than me.
Oh, so. You got a sensitive sister. That's probably me in your family.
Pero, have they ever, you guys roast, for example, because I don't know how far they take it. We know that, you're a disabled comedian. Does it bother you when they make, when they come for you for being disabled and like they make a joke out of it? Are you comfortable to be like, ha ha, yeah, it is? Or like, no, that's not funny?
Well, when I do roast battle, like that's a very specific format where it's like, joke for joke. I agree to roast battle the comic that I'm battling. And like, I only battle comics that I respect, that I think are funny, you know what I mean? That I have a rapport with, that I actually know and that I consider friends. So, cause I'm not just going to let some random call me a disabled bitch. Definitely I have been on shows where like a host or a comic goes after me, like, they perform after me and maybe they're not doing so well. So they'll make a joke about me to try to like, it never goes well for them. For me, I have really tried to work on like my own like mental health so that I can be a better performer, right? Like, because stand up is an art form. Like, in order to do my best, I have to be my best, right?
Of course,
and that means going to therapy for me. Like in the pandemic, straight up, like I went from having shows every night, traveling, doing stand up to nothing.
I mean, we all did, girl.
Girl, right? So it's like I had this incredible amount of anxiety, like in a way that I'd never felt before. And I was like, wait a minute, but I'm not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like, where is this coming from? And like, I realized, you know, through therapy, psychiatrists, like, oh shit, I have anxiety on the real. Like, I need medication. And it's just been life-changing for me, like in how I live and how I function, how I'm able to wake up and process the world. It's like, oh wow, like it doesn't have to be what it was. I really felt like I had to kind of struggle and like I normalized that kind of anxiety and the way that I was always feeling like, you know, you left the stove on or something, you know what I mean? With that distraction in your mind where you're always just on high alert. And it's like, oh my God, like it allows me to just like breathe a little easier and focus, you know, on the creativity, on the fun parts of comedy, right? On the joy.
Mira, por ejemplo, celebrities like Selena Gomez and J Balvin, you know, they've spoken about the struggles that they've had with depression and anxiety. And there's other celebrities that haven't spoken about it, but you don't have to. We can see that something is happening. You're going through it. For example, one that I think has been very noticeable to me, and I was a really big fan, and I'm, you know, I won't say that I'm not anymore, but I understand that her life has changed a little bit. Britney Spears, for example, she's another one that she didn't necessarily have to say, I'm going through depression or I'm going, but we could visually see that something is happening within your own personal space. I love when I see people that have big platforms and they actually use it not only to, you know, entertain the audience, but also to speak about something that's real, something that's human, something that our emotions, you know. We all go through our ups and downs. And I want to talk about how in the Latino community, and I'm sure Arlene can relate as well, in the Latino community, women specifically, we're supposed to be these happy, strong women all the time. You can't go through any depression. Es como que cry it off, párate, and keep it pushing. Like, what do you know what I'm saying? Deal with it. This is life. Just da-da-da. And sometimes depression can be so deep, or anxiety or whatever it is can be so deep that a little cry is not enough. A little cheesecake is not enough. A little, you know, just go out to the club one night is not enough. You need help. You need to talk to someone. You need to vent. Even being able to vent. I vent in the shower. I cry. I vent. I talk to myself. I sometimes you need to hear your own thoughts out loud. And I give myself therapy. But not everybody can do that. You know, some people need that extra help. So in your case, how was it for you to finally say, you know what? I need help. I'm going to go get help. It doesn't make me feel like I'm crazy. It doesn't make me feel like I'm going, you know what I'm saying? And also to accept the fact that tú eres una mujer. You know, you're not a robot. You have feelings and emotions. Is that something that also happens in your family that, you know, you're supposed to be the strong woman that, you know, just deal with it type of attitude?
Well, I mean, for me, you said the word loca earlier, Amara. That word, that stigma, what I feel like when, especially for women, we're already seen in society as las locas, especially if you're Latina, you're loud, you're jealous, you're just going to come at. So the idea, if you're going through some struggles, if you're going through some mental health issues, coming out is in itself a challenge. To say the thing, I'm not well, I'm feeling like I'm confused, I'm not myself, that in and of itself is a challenge. Porque la palabra loca, de volada, they're going to throw it at you. Ay, estás loca, or you're overreacting.
You're overreacting.
Cálmate.
Right.
Exactly. So women already have that barrier and that challenge that they need to overcome. And I also feel like there's just so much pressure for women right now. There's just so much pressure to be and act and always be cool. If you're in a relationship, you're just cool with the guys. You're cool with everything. So there's just, I don't know, a lot of hurdles. And within our community, our mothers, I mean, are the strongest. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but they're usually seen as this strong pillar of strength. Mm-hmm. When my dad passed away, my mom was just a rock. And I thought to myself, how is she doing this? Mm-hmm. And it was probably not to her best interest to be a rock. She couldn't be that. It was an impossibility. So I don't know. It's definitely a challenge. I don't know if you've felt anything like that, Danielle, within your family.
You know, my parents divorced when I was pretty young. I was in kindergarten, and I am fortunate that, you know, they put me in like therapy as a kid, and they're like, draw your family. And I like, you know, drew a princess in my family, and they're like, she's fine. But, you know, I kind of like grew up knowing that like therapy was an option and was in and out of it. But that doesn't, just because you know, right, that that's an option doesn't mean that you are ready for it or open for it. Like I got, you know, I had very bad depression in high school. I had a suicide attempt when I was in high school. And, you know, I struggled with eating disorders in high school and in college. And I would just go in and out of therapy. But it was the thing of like, you have to be willing to be honest with yourself and be honest with this person and really be ready to make changes, right? To how you react to things, how you receive things, the boundaries you set. Like now, you know, I am in a place where I am more willing to do the work. So I am trying, but it's hard. It's not a magic wand where all of a sudden therapy fixes it. It's like, oh, wow, I'm able to now look at my life and start excavating things from it and learn and decide that I want to do better and live better, right? Like, my sister moved back right at the beginning of the pandemic, and, you know, like she had her own kind of mental health journey. She's got anxiety too. And it's like, what? Wait, crazy that two girls who grew up seeing their father have panic attacks and being, you know, go to the emergency room for them. Oh, we have anxiety? You know, but like, we're educated adult women. How did we not like, oh, wow, that's crazy that we have that too, you know?
My mom suffers from panic attacks. That shit is real. My mom suffers from panic attack and that shit is real. My mom's been in the hospital ya como 4-5 veces, like 5 times for panic attack. In the beginning, I remember the first panic attack I saw, it was like about maybe like 7-8 years ago. And I wasn't really sure what the hell was going on with her. All I know was that she just, you know, sat in the bed, was completely gone, and was just there like numb. And I would talk to her. Everybody was talking to her. Y no pasaba nada. I've never put my hands on my mom. I panicked so much because she spent hours just sitting there that I literally slapped her. I slapped my mother in the face. I am going to admit to this. I panicked. I didn't know what to do. I would tug her. Nada. Estaba en pánico. And, you know, sometimes eso, porque ella también tiene problemas de la presión. She has high blood pressure issues and diabetes and everything. It does alter, it does affect her blood pressure. When she gets those panic attacks, que como que le da, you know, I don't know how to explain the way that I've seen her. I've seen her be completely calm, like she's gone. And I've seen her completely panic, like, I can't breathe. Like, and I'm like, nothing has happened. It's something internal that happens within them. Listen, that is very scary. You got to take this serious. And I also want to put it out there. If there's anybody that has children out there, or if you're a brother or a sister that you have a young sibling, panic attacks can happen at any age. Anxiety can happen at any age. And let's talk about it too. These days, our children, our little ones are going through more anxiety than any other generation because of the pressure of society. Kids in school, the bullying, what they see on social media, what they see on TV, the standards of beauty have also put a lot of anxiety on our little girls, that they feel that their bodies are not right, that they eat too much, or I'm too skinny, or I'm too this, or I'm ugly, or I'm this. Óyeme, the world right now is in a stage of panic, in a stage of anxiety. Everybody's going through it in different levels. And I think that it's also important to talk about it. There's levels to it. Don't think that because your anxiety may not be as much as someone that you've seen, it starts small, right? Anxiety can start off really small, like, oh, I'm panicking. And next thing you know, it can create a monster, and it can really become a thing. Arlene, have you ever suffered any anxiety or any like panic attacks or anything like that in your own personal experience?
Well, like I mentioned earlier in the episode, when I was in an abusive relationship, that's when I really started to see just that I couldn't process certain events, because physical and emotional abuse, like you said, the emotional abuse I think was far worse than the physical. The physical was shocking for sure, but the emotional was deep. It was a deep hurt, because when you're in a vulnerable relationship, and like you said, when you're surrounded by people you love, those are the ones that can hurt you the most. Those are the daggers that cut you deeper. And I remember I was ashamed to ask for help, and I couldn't even tell my best friend that it was happening. And I remember when I finally told her, she saw me in a state where I was in my bathroom and I was just shaking. And she was like, "What is wrong? I don't understand what's happening." And I finally told her. She just broke down with me, started crying. So as hard as it is to share, sometimes there's a lot of shame because being weak in our culture is seen as a shameful thing. We have to be strong, and there's this machismo aspect on the male side of things. But I hope that if people are going through something, that they have, even if it's just one person that they can go to and talk to reach out for help, because it is unhealthy, and it is scary as hell to be going through something like that.
And to be honest, talking about it makes you stronger. Ese stigma, the fact that you don't talk about it makes you strong. No, the fact that I have the balls and the guts to say, listen, okay, I'm admitting it. I'm not perfect. I'm going through some shit right now. I'm going through it. I'm not okay. I need help. Can someone help? Asking for help makes you actually stronger than just quedándote callado, just being quiet and just suffering in a corner and letting life pass you by and going through. That's even worse. So to me, it's admirable. You know, what Danielle is doing is admirable to all the women, to all the guys out there who've actually reached out for help and admitted, listen, you know, I'm going to go to therapy. I had spoken about it in the past episodes. I started going to therapy when I was pregnant. I was going through a lot of depression during my pregnancy because of issues that I was having with, you know, the person I was with at the time, with my pregnancy, feeling alone, all the things I found out. And it was just so much. I never in my life thought that I myself would get my phone and be like, I'm going to go to therapy. And it made me a stronger person and made me feel better about myself. And, honestly, I think it's so important that we continue to have these conversations. How do we ask for help would be my question, Danielle. How do you ask for help? Yes, we laugh it off. Yes, we joke it off. Yes, we act like it's all good. But deep down inside, you know, we may use certain things to cover up how we really feel. But how do we ask for help? How did you do it?
I think asking for help is go to the people that you feel safe with, right? If that is your family, if those are your friends, I mean, but also too, it's like we have the internet, right? Like we can Google mental health resources, and there's so many, like right now, right? Like J Balvin has that mental health group for Latinos, like specifically. That's amazing. Like Megan Thee Stallion has a whole website dedicated to mental health resources for brown and Black women. Like there's a community and there are people that want to help. So just putting it out there in any way that you are comfortable, there's going to be someone on the other end that wants to.
Speaking of Megan Thee Stallion, the fact that she came out with that website for her fans, Bad Bitches Have Bad Days Too, that just tells you already that she gets it, that she's been through it, and she wants to help people, because getting help is actually also an economic issue too.
100%.
You have to have money to go to therapy. You have to have health insurance for you to be able to sign up for to see a shrink or a therapist. And even then, the copay is expensive. So it is a luxury.
Óyeme, it's easier to be depressed and keep it pushing, o quedarse, quote unquote, like they would say in our community, quedarse loca and call it a day, because they make it expensive también. It's like, there's only so much hyping up that you can do to yourself and so much encouragement you can tell yourself. Sometimes, you can go back into that depression, because you can go to therapy now, tú te sientes fabuloso, you feel great like for a week or two, and then all of a sudden it could be one little thing that can trigger you and you go back into that dark space again. So honestly, I love the fact that you're using comedy to use this as a healing tool. Is also a way to encourage and motivate others to laugh, to feel good. And I like that you also found something new, something different, something out of necessarily your comfort zone, and you figured out, Coño, by the way, I do think that I'm kind of funny. Where can I go see some of your stand-up comedy?
You can see me live if you're in Los Angeles. You can also go to Instagram and Twitter at Diva Deluxe, no E at the end. I have a set out on Comedy Central that you can check out online.
Get 'em. Yeah. Yes. I love it. Honestly, I am so grateful to have you. I'm so grateful that, you actually are being vulnerable, honest, and transparent about your experience, because you don't know how your story can motivate and encourage other people that have been through your same situation. And I'm just grateful for you. We need more Latinas like you to empower other Latinas to come together. Thank you so much for joining us today at Exactly Amara. En our línea, tú sabes, mami, que tú eres mía, tú eres de la family. And by the way, guys, people can call or text 988 for help. They can also call or text if they are worried about a loved one who may need crisis support. The lifeline is free and confidential. Find me on all the social media platforms at Exactly Amara, or you can also check me out at Amara La Negra ALN, and to our YouTube channel, where you will be able to watch us every week by searching Exactly Amara. This has been a production of iHeart's My Cultura Podcast Network. For more podcasts from iHeart, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.